A Georgia insider just revealed a major Georgia Bulldogs update as we look to remain hot on the recruiting trail, and we got to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Georgia Football 365. If you are a Georgia Bulldogs fan, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But let's jump right into what we got for today, because we do have some big news coming out just a few hours ago. Coming from 24/7 Sports, we can see that one of Georgia's top defensive line targets just received a crystal ball prediction from 24/7 Sports, predicting him to land with the Georgia Bulldogs. Kadin Fife is a former Tennessee Volunteers commit who is currently rated as a 3-star recruit by 24/7 Sports, but the composite grade, aka the consensus of all of the recruiting outlets, have him rated as a consensus 4-star recruit. So this is a very, very good defensive line prospect that Georgia is going after. We get this crystal ball prediction courtesy of Benjamin Wolk, who is a writer for Dogs 24/7, which is the Georgia affiliate website of 24/7 Sports. Now, we got this prediction 8:02 a.m. this morning, which is Monday, July 6th. So we finally get a more concrete prediction that Fife will be landing with the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, of course, we probably didn't need to wait for 24/7 Sports to give us a crystal ball to say that Fife was likely going to be ending up with the Georgia Bulldogs. We didn't need On3 to tell us that he was likely ending up with the Georgia Bulldogs, because according to On3, Fife is also more likely than not to be committing to Georgia next. We can just take a look at the timeline. We can see June 5th, he took an official visit to Tennessee. 7 days later, aka the next weekend, June 12th, he visited the Georgia Bulldogs. And then 12 days after that, he decommitted from Tennessee. Following the recruiting trail, this tells us something happened at that Georgia visit that caused him to reconsider Tennessee, and something changed where he said, now I want to decommit. Most of the time, when we see someone take an official visit and then decommit after that official visit, more often than not, the most recent official visit is the team that, if you are the team that he just decommitted from, that's a squad that you have to worry about. So we looked at this and said, okay, he's likely going to be going to Georgia now. And now officially we do have it from 24/7 Sports and from On3 that he is likely going to be joining the Georgia Bulldogs. So Fife, like I said, rated 3-star by 24/7 Sports. They have him rated an 89 overall, ranked as the 50th best defensive lineman in the 2027 recruiting class and the 19th best player in the state of Alabama. The composite grade has him rated as a 4-star, ranked as the 360th best player in the 2027 recruiting class and the 40th best defensive lineman in that class. Fife comes from Alabama, so a little bit interesting to see Alabama being kind of nowhere close in this recruitment, which is what we're hearing from our insiders. Not entirely sure what Kalen DeBoer is cooking over there for the 2027. Alabama currently has the 45th ranked recruiting class on 24/7 Sports for 2027. So I'm not talking trash. I'm just saying I'm a little bit confused at what's going on over there. But Fife is a player that we can get very excited about. We do have his scouting report written up here by Hudson Standish, who is a writer for 24/7 Sports and one of their national analysts. He writes, hulking defensive lineman who operates outside the tackles on Friday nights in Georgia's Class A D1 and will slide inside at the next level. Before we continue here, I just want to read off height, weight, because I don't believe we did that. 6 feet, 4.5 inches tall, 290 pounds. So this is a very tall, heavy dude, an SEC defensive line size high schooler here. Believed to be hovering around 6'5", 295 pounds, but that frame has not been verified by a third party. That's crazy. 6'5", 295, so even bigger than what he's currently listed at by 24/7 Sports. Huge dude, which, if you pay attention to what Georgia picks up, not surprising for a single second. Possesses fantastic fluidity for a point of attack defender. His size, which suggests immense pass rushing upside. Pass rushers who can get after the passer from the interior of the defensive line, those guys are very difficult to find. They are very expensive NIL-wise. Those are really, really top guys. Usually, you would expect your pass rush to be coming from the edge because it's easier to get around just one offensive tackle instead of having to go through likely multiple interior offensive linemen. So that's why it's so much rarer that someone is able to get after the quarterback from the interior of the defensive line. But if Fife can use his physical traits to develop into a player who can do that, he can way outperform this 3-star or 4-star designation that he's currently carrying. Pursues the football at a high level and regularly makes effort plays down the line of scrimmage. I say this every single time we see the E word. Effort matters so much. If you're a top program, Georgia, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, whatever top program you want to put out there, you're ranked in the top 15 for top programs year after year in college football. Everyone you're going to recruit is always going to be extremely talented. The question is, do they have the work ethic and do they have the effort to maximize those talents? So seeing the fact that he shows effort on the football field, that's a step in the right direction. That's a great sign for us because I have not interviewed him. And I'm pretty sure that most people, if not every person watching this video, will not / has not interviewed him either. So it's pretty difficult for us to gauge his level of work ethic, but we can tell by watching his level of effort on the field. If he's not someone who's loafing, if he's someone that's hustling after every single play, that's a player that you say he's putting that kind of effort in on the field. He's likely also going to be a high effort player off the field as well. And he is more likely to hit his ceiling than maybe someone who has a higher ceiling, but doesn't show as much effort would. Some of his cons here, so we read the pros. Some of his weaknesses: needs to improve pad level and learn how to consistently find leverage. In football, low man always wins. At 6'5", it's pretty common for high schoolers this tall to struggle getting low. That will be taught to him by the Georgia coaching staff. Must improve punch power and anchor strength if he's going to thrive along the interior at the Power 4 level. So he has the size to suggest that he would be able to put on this type of strength and weight, just has to actually get there. Got to hit the weight room, got to listen to the nutritionist, got to make sure he's eating right, working out right. Likely will need some time to get adjusted to big-time college football, but has a high ceiling and physical traits that suggest eventual NFL upside. Georgia, known for putting out top-end defensive linebackers, I should just say defensive prospects into the NFL. This guy can be the next player in that pipeline if he's willing to work hard and can make the most of the gifts he was given at birth. So very high upside guy here, but a little bit of a project, which isn't a problem. We got the right coaching staff and the right sort of facilities to make him or to help him out as much as we possibly can. So big time update there on Fife. We do have another update, not as exciting. Nate Carson, unfortunately, on July 3rd, did end up committing to South Carolina. This is something that we were predicting to happen. We were fully expecting this. Nate Carson, 4-star offensive tackle, officially going to be, I can't even say officially off the board for Georgia now, but because of NIL, people decommitting, flipping schools, transfer portal, what does it all really mean? But Nate Carson, at least for the very immediate future, he's off the board. He committed to South Carolina as we expected him to, which means that the Georgia Bulldogs now have to turn our attention to our, I don't want to call him a backup option, but to the Nate Carson, who was the number 1 offensive tackle target for Georgia, now the number 2 offensive tackle for Georgia, and now I guess de facto number 1 becomes Miller Westerfield from Roswell, Georgia. He is a 6'6", 290-pound offensive tackle, rated a 3-star by 24/7 Sports, but a 4-star by the 24/7 Sports composite grade. 24/7 has him ranked as the 47th best offensive tackle in the 2027 class and a top 50 player in the state of Georgia. The consensus has him rated as the 390th best player in the 2027 class, 40th best offensive tackle, 43rd best player in the state of Georgia. So just like Fife, the consensus grade and other recruiting websites are a little bit higher on Westerfield than 24/7 Sports is. We're going to see who Georgia is going after here in the future. A little bit of a spoiler for the next video. There are a bunch of offensive line prospects that we are currently going after. That's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video all the way through. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Go Dogs!